we got to get into the Mike Ybarra thing. This is one of those situations where there's a pattern, right? Now, look, like I said in the opening, I'm not going to curse at the guy. I don't know Mike personally, but I got to say, for someone of his stature, and I understand he's no longer working for Microsoft, he's no longer working for Xbox, he's no longer the president of Blizzard. He's still someone that understands the business down to the grinding of it, creating games, the cost of it, the manpower, how design. He understands everything when it comes to gaming. There's nothing that's going to surprise this man. So when he goes out and he makes commentary, for instance, let me pull this up over here. So this happened last week. Now, last week should have been a celebratory day or at least a week for Xbox. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is the fact that they were at the Tokyo Game Show in a really big way, and they showed off a teaser trailer for Forza Horizon 6, which got everyone in this chat and on this panel super excited because, especially Fuzzy, we've always talked about them going to Japan, and it has been confirmed that yes, they are going to Japan. So that's big news. So, like he has done many times before, Mike Ybarra likes to kick the hornet's nest, and I don't understand why he does it. Again, some people say other things. I'm not going to be disrespectful. What I will say about him is that he's a bitter man, and it's blatantly apparent that is what's going on here. I've heard some other commentary and other, classifications. I'm not going to say those things. Okay, what I'm going to say is going to be respectful, but it's going to be pointed. Now, last week he goes on to say this in his tweet: "There's no better racing game than Forza Horizon," and of course he's 100% right. But then he goes on to say, "Not sure why the expected delay launch on PlayStation. Just launch it everywhere at the same time. Continued confusing messaging, in or out, not both. Hashtag, more parentheses, I'll play on Steam, so I don't care, but let the studio make money." Now, this is not only half-cocked, it's egregious. And it's egregious because he knows the business. And of course, he's being disingenuous, as he's done many times before. And the fact that he has been removed from Microsoft not once, but twice, is probably why he's bitter. And at every opportunity, both him and others like Sean Layden continue to take shots at Xbox. Now, Sean is a PlayStation guy, and we're not going to really get into what he had to say because, Sean is always going to be Sean Layden. But Mike Ybarra is a former employee of Microsoft times 2. Now, why he was removed from Xbox originally, I couldn't tell you. Why he was removed as the president of Blizzard when Microsoft became the owner of Activision Blizzard King, I could not tell you. I can tell you what I've heard, but it's not good. So I'm not going to make mention of it. Needless to say, he no longer works for the company. So you would imagine that someone that has been removed not once, but twice, gentlemen, it would be a little bit bitter. So again, over the weekend, he goes, okay, where this originally starts is IGN does an article where, and I'm going to read the IGN post from X, and it says, "Sony is calling the PlayStation 5 generation of consoles its most successful to date after reaching a milestone of 136 billion just under 5 years into its lifespan." Now, Mike Ybarra quote tweets it and says, "But hey, the console market isn't a successful business." So someone responded to Mike and they went, the bitter X. And he starts going back and forth with the community. And I'm only going to read one of the quotes because it's a lot of it's gross. And we don't like to present that on this channel. He simply says, "Your console is dead," as if them being an Xbox player. Now, look, Is that the worst thing in the world to say? Well, I mean, he didn't outright curse him out or anything, but I gotta be honest with you. Coming from a background in gaming as long as he has, where he just held the position of president of Blizzard. I'm, and look, let me just say this. This is as pointed as I'm going to get. I'm embarrassed for him. I'm embarrassed for him as a man. And I'm going to tell you why. Every day that I come in front of this camera, I put my best foot forward. Now, granted, we are tiny in regards to size, 16.2K, whoop-de-doo. But you want to know something? We got companies that invite us to things, fly us out to locations to play games, give us things to try out. We're working with a couple of companies behind the scene, which we're not ready to talk about. My partnership with Valari, it's doing very well for us. We're doing very well for them. And every time I put my best foot forward, more opportunities knock at the front door. What I will never do is act like a complete asshole online. Pardon the French. And that's exactly how he has been behaving, like a 12-year-old. And again, some of the commentary that went back and forth with the community, I'm not going to read because some of it is egregious. And again, we don't promote hate or any kind of that rhetoric here. We do get pointed, which we're going to get on this podcast right now on this particular topic, because it's worthy of a conversation. And it's worthy of a conversation because the community wants to talk about it. So I'm here to not only represent Double Barrel Gaming, but the community on hand. So, Crispy Bomb, let's get into this because, again, this is shocking behavior. I'm not going to say that I'm surprised because Mike Ybarra has done this many, many times before. So this is not surprising. But, when you say things like that, you make yourself really small. And for someone that is a multimillionaire, we know that he is because after, he left Xbox, he got a big paycheck for becoming what was his dream job, and that was the president of Blizzard. Obviously, with the buyout and him being the president of Blizzard, he had stocks all over the place. So he walked away loaded. And every time I see him in social media or on social media acting a fool, I kind of wonder, is this some sort of a cry for help? But look at me, look at me, look at me. Brother, you are a millionaire. You go spend your money. Go buy a yacht. Go on some exotic trips. Do things like that. Don't console war. I think you're supposed to be above that, considering that you were just a former C-level executive. And I just think that it's embarrassing. And I will say this again. As a man, I'm embarrassed for him because he's acting as if he's a 12-year-old and not how old he is. I'm 55. If I have to act like that, close down the channel. Pack it up. Let's go. Crispy, let's get your thoughts on this, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen him say a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of weird things. Always taking shots at Xbox, Microsoft. There's been many executives that don't work for that company anymore that take shots at it, but it seems to have the same type of rhetoric. And, I believe somewhere in my great receipts, I probably caught him saying, like, I'm not a console warrior or something like that. Well, you just disproved that. I have the receipt thanks to other people, but I looked at it and I was like, oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. He clearly has disdain for the company, regardless of him becoming a millionaire from it. I would say it's engagement farming, but it doesn't seem logical unless he really wants people's attention. That's kind of like a child mentality. Like, I need attention. I'm going to stir the pot. He doesn't work there anymore. He has no clue what the culture is anymore. Okay, he could talk to whoever he wants, but it's probably another salty person that just wants the paycheck. These are things that happen within corporate America especially, but even in any business, you're going to have somebody that does not like the company, and you're going to have other people that love the company. So if you look at it in those terms, I just feel like I wouldn't say a cry for help. I think he's bored, and he loves messing with, because he probably looks at every Xbox gamer as a fanboy now. Even though a lot of us just play games and talk about stuff and try not to be, like poo-pooing everyone all the time, but apparently he enjoys doing that. I also don't see him really calling out much other stuff unless it involves Microsoft. So, well, I welcome people showing the receipts of him talking about Sony in such ways, or Nintendo in such ways. There's been plenty of bad news on those ends. You know what I mean? How about the acquisition, stuff like that? The comments aren't probably very scathing as he has done with Xbox Microsoft. So kind of just proves his point that maybe it's a little bit of fanboyism now that turned from just being salty about, being, I'm pretty sure, fired from at least the second time. He was, hey, time to go. There's the door. You got your money. Walk away. And now he continues to, I would say not walk away graciously and want to step on the company he worked for many, many years.
I mean, it's a great point of view, and obviously that's what it is. Yeah, maybe the cry for help thing is being a little bit facetious on my part, because what is he really crying for? Everyone knows who he is, and obviously people remember the last thing that you did, and when you act like a jackass, people are going to remember that. He doesn't care because he's a millionaire, right? He doesn't worry about money. He's not worrying about going to the grocery and eggs being $3 more than they were, 2 years ago. He doesn't care. So he comes to social media, and I actually think he looks for it, to be honest with you, at this point. And again, if he does continue to act like an ass, we're no longer going to talk about it, because we're not going to give him the play that he wants. I just wanted to talk about it because it was back-to-back instances. First, it was with the Forza Horizon comment, which obviously, and again, this is why I don't take him serious, and I know he's being facetious or just a complete a-hole, Fuzzy, because he understands business, right? He understands the development of business. And someone like, for instance, Playground Games. Playground Games is going to get help on this game from Turn 10 Studios, and we have a quote from them, and we're going to get into that. We're going to segue into into actually talking about video games, and that will be Forza Horizon 6. But what we do know, and I think this is pretty common knowledge, is that they're not a multi-plat studio. They are an Xbox Game Studios company, and they make games for Xbox first and foremost, and in that development process, make games for dual releasing on PC. Now, I know there were a lot of people on PlayStation that were very salty about this, but folks, can we just put on the business hats for a second here, including Mike Ybarra, and say, well, if they're already developing for the two ports, they're literally making it for PC, they're making it for Xbox, they're going to have to make a port at some point for PlayStation. Now, the game isn't made, so they didn't get port help like they did for Forza Horizon 5, because the game is being created. And FYI, why would you announce it when they just a couple of months ago released Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation 5, which, by the way, is one of the best-selling games on PlayStation in 2025 to kind of cut sales? You put out a trailer, you do a dev direct in January, you get PlayStation players who are going to look over and either buy it on PC because they don't want to wait, go out and buy an Xbox, or just sit on it and wait for it to come to PlayStation 5, potentially in 27, because obviously we don't expect this game until the holiday of 2026, which is probably going to be October or November. So, which would do what? Set up a spring release for this game on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, where it will be done to work on those consoles in spring of 27. I mean, I don't have a business degree. I'm not a business analyst, and I'm not in the business of gaming and how to fund it. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Why he would be disingenuous, well, we know why. But let's get your thoughts on this, Fuzzy.
I mean, for a while, he's been on the pay no mind list for me, primarily because of some of the stuff I've heard in the background in relation to Game Pass and him and his I guess disagreements with Phil's approach on things. you would think he would have learned the first time he was shown the door, but he didn't. And you know, I'm pretty sure he figured he's in the right for whatever reason. Kudos to him. I would say focus on your gambling company that you're running now.
Yep.
That's probably in your better interests. Um, Being vocal against your former employer isn't winning you any fans for your current employer. So it is what it is. But I don't know. I'm the type of person where if I leave an employer, that's it.
Right.
I might still be in communication with people that are still there, but I have a life outside of that, nor would I want to bother, even discussing that former employer, whether it was on me leaving on good terms or bad terms. I don't hold a grudge because I think carrying that negative energy into whatever you're doing now, you know, weighs in on what you're doing now, and it will eventually cause that to be a load of crap or whatever. But it is what it is. But to say that the console is dead, well, if it's dead, then why do you even bother talking about it? It's like I laugh at people that complain about something that's supposedly that they have no interest in, but they're still complaining about it. It's like, well, are you that bored that this is all that you focus on? It's like you would think if you're all about PlayStation, just play PlayStation. It's like, and it's funny because the first time he got let go, he decided to stream on Mixer from his PlayStation. It's like, really? This is what we're going to do now? You could stream on Twitch with your PlayStation, but no, let's stream on Mixer with my PlayStation instead of his PC because he claims to be a PC gamer, but he's doing that kind of BS behind the scenes, and he thought that that would be okay, or maybe he figured this is a way I could be the microaggressions or whatever, but he's that type of dude that you know if he's your boss, great, deal with it, get your paycheck and be happy. If he's your coworker, don't bother having lunch with him. Don't bother talking at the water cooler with him because he is that guy that's always going to nitpick and be a downer and be that cloud around the office that brings others down and winds up having where the morale drops. Like he is not an uplifter, he is a downer. And I'll leave it at that. But as far as gaming, if Xbox was dead, then why is there so much media focus on it? Why is there so much attention on what they're doing? When it comes to Forza Horizon coming to PlayStation, I said it before. It's probably best that they wait, especially for those that spent the extra money on the PlayStation 5 Pro. If you want it to actually have um, some upgrades or updates in relation to your hardware, I would say give them time. It's not like they are intentionally not launching it day and date. It does take time because it is easier to code an Xbox to PC specs or between those two platforms as opposed to PlayStation. But we'll see if Fable is a day and date. If Fable's a day and date, then what I'm saying has a lot more relevance because of what I've heard before. If it's not day and date, then maybe there is a behind the scenes change as far as the communication on what's going to be launched on other platforms. Maybe they're holding the line, not doing day and date until PlayStation starts doing day and date. Who knows? In any case, I would say if you're a PlayStation guy and you already picked up Forza Horizon 5, get as much out of that game in preparation for 6 and just, hope that the pisser updates or upgrades are worth the wait type of deal. I think they will be in all honesty, but it is what it is. It just seems like for those that want to scrutinize what Xbox is doing with their release schedule on other platforms, seems like they were never interested in Xbox anyway. It's more like, well, the whole slate's coming, but it's not day and date. Why isn't it day and date? Like, make up your mind. No, it's you guys make up your mind. Either buy into the Xbox ecosystem or stay on your current platform and then await the games when they come. I don't see why it's so difficult, but it is what it is. I've rambled enough on him.
No, I mean, listen, everyone had great points. And again, it does kind of lead all the way back to if Xbox is dead, then why bother to keep bringing it up? That's a phenomenal point of view. But look, at the end of the day, Mike should just stop talking.